got a lot of pleasuring or pleasurable behavior.
Okay. Okay. So in what? Go ahead.
In my practice, I see patients who have developed chronic pain as a result of an illness.
Okay.
Cancer patients have a lot of pain and it's chronic. People with neurological damage have pain and it's chronic. And so that would be a different type person that you would see with chronic pain.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think part of, if I remember, part of the treatment program that you developed was in tandem with a chemical dependency treatment.
Correct.
Place too. So we've also got a different population of people there.
Correct.
Okay. Now I'd like to spend some time, let's take a look at another graphic about what we can do about this. All right? We don't need to suffer. Let's see. One of the things that we need to do is raise our endorphins, a naturally produced painkiller that can be stimulated by stress, exercise, acupuncture, sexual activity. That's a good thing. Hypnosis, visualization, maybe vitamin and mineral supplements, foods with the right amino acids, such as whole grains, chickens, nut, bran, and perhaps biofeedback, and there may be even more that you would wish to add to the list. Before we do that, I was hoping you'd take a moment and say a little bit more about endorphin and what it is and how it operates in the body.
The endorphin system is comprised of not a single chemical, but at last count 20 some odd chemicals that function as the body's own natural opiates or painkillers. And along with the pain-killing ability, they also have the ability to produce other sensations, including euphoria, including feeling good, there seems to be a person who has a certain level of endorphins in them, that have a natural amount that is consistently being manufactured.
Okay.
Several things will shut the endorphin system off. One is by taking exterior narcotics. If you're taking in narcotics, your brain senses that it doesn't need to make its own, so temporarily it'll shut it off. So for the period of time that you're taking narcotic medication, your brain is making less or none at all. When you stop taking the narcotic, your brain then has this gap from when it's taking the outside narcotic to when it's beginning to develop your own. On the contrary, you can also manufacture or force your body to manufacture more through the methods that you've also outlined. Giving yourself that sensation of feeling well or feeling high or a euphoria that often comes along with the endorphins.
Okay. And so the endorphins are also connected to what's known as, I think, the runner's high. Is that right?
The runner's high.
Okay. All right. Do your patients in your therapy group ever talk about this in terms of maybe choosing ways to naturally stimulate their endorphin system?
One of the things that a person with, that I would see in my groups would use exercise according to their ability to exercise, and that stimulates the endorphin system. And it takes careful monitoring because too much exercise can make you hurt more, but not enough can make you hurt more too. So again, monitor in your journal about exercise.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I would imagine that in some ways exercise for someone with chronic pain must be a hard sell. I mean, I don't know for myself, but I know that when I am not feeling well or I have pain, my natural instinct is to sit still, to just want to rest. Nobody talk to me.
Yes.
Rather than let's go for a walk. So in terms of engaging client cooperation and that sort of thing, how do you go about that?
Well, you have to think about the end result, and you have to emphasize that even though if you don't exercise, you know that you're going to still be hurting.
Oh, that's
and so go through just a little more and you may get some relief. So it's the payoff.
Okay.
The other way is finding out from people what their modifiers are. Everybody has a modifier of their pain. Some people like to be alone when they are hurting. Some people like to be with others when they hurt. Some people say that when they're angry they hurt more than when they're afraid. So they begin to develop a clearer picture of what the modifiers are and to try to strengthen those things that help decrease the pain and defocus on those things that tend to aggravate their pain. So like if they hurt more when they're alone, then try not to be alone when they're hurting. Okay. And enlist other people to be around them, family members, friends, and so on.
So that would take a real commitment to self-monitoring and self-awareness that you're
definitely.
talking about. I mean, you can't just sort of drift through this one.
No.
Okay.
And plus, you know, our Americans are traditionally cued to the quick fix.
Yes.
You know, the pill, the let's get it taken care of quickly, and when you say something is going to be long-term or chronic, you automatically say, then there's something the matter with me, that I'm not in the American mode.
That's right. Well, that I need to adjust to a new mode, and we apparently don't have a lot of good examples about what that mode might be.
Right.
And there is no quick fix for chronic pain. For example, taking a pill is very quick, whereas I would recommend doing some relaxation, some imagery. That takes 20 minutes. And I recommend that my clients do that about 3 times a day.
Okay.
That's not a quick fix, but it is a very helpful thing to do, and you need to give yourself permission to give yourself that time.
Well, and it sounds like then you'd also need to be willing to put aside time to take care of yourself. I mean, it sounds like taking care of yourself will need to be a priority.
Yes.
And from the type of people that you were describing, that would be quite a shift, where I need to say, you know, that I need to put 2 hours a day into my own health. I mean, I would imagine to
That's
some degree
true.
people would initially feel odd about that, or selfish, or somehow not. You're mentioning permission. Like somehow that wouldn't be okay. How do the families adjust to that? I mean, if someone in my family was really a go-getter and suddenly this person's saying, no, I need to take care of me, what happens?
It's very difficult for families. It's very difficult for families to accept that this person can't do what they used to do, and to be okay with that and not be angry with the family. They'll experience a lot of the same emotions.
Or a lot of times they'll get a double message. One, the message goes, we really want to help you get rid of pain, but the secondary emotion is, we want you well enough so that you will do for us.
Yes.
You know, it's that kind of, we want you well enough so you get back to doing what you used to do. Not that there's a real sense of, we want you to feel better.
Okay.
It comes with a message.
Okay. And so in terms of confronting what's not being said, I mean, part of, I guess, one of the skills people learn to do is need to be more assertive, need to be able to state, you know, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do, and be able to tolerate the fact that they're going to disappoint other people or may not get other people's permission.
Just relating the fact that this is what I need to do right now.
Okay.
Lie down, meditate.
Right.
I try to get them to not focus on 2 words, the must, have to, ought to, should group, and then the I can't do this, but really them focusing on that it's something that they choose to do. So I want to do this. I want to do my meditation now. I want to be with you, so that there's a sense of choice rather than some form of coercion, either from the family or because of their illness.
That's definitely a more empowering way to go about that,
Much
isn't
more,
it?
yeah.
Absolutely.
And particularly at a time when somebody's feeling less powerful.
Right?
Yeah. That's interesting. So in terms of therapy, you were mentioning you have therapy groups.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do. I work at Process Therapy Institute, and I have groups for people with chronic pain. And the thing that comes across most strongly when people enter a group for the first time is they realize that they're not alone, and they can say something and be understood.
Okay. And then in fact they get validated and their pain
Absolutely.
becomes legitimate.
Yes.
Now, I don't know, having not experienced this, but I would guess that there might be a tendency at times to want to go inward when you're experiencing this kind of pain. And maybe you even need to set aside time, perhaps on a daily basis, to go inward. That I would imagine that the energy level must come and go, and you may not always have the energy to want to participate in a group or with your family, or to even go. I've had clients say, I just am tired of going to the doctor. I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to go to physical therapy. I don't want to meditate. I don't want to take care of myself anymore. And when people reach that place, how can we help them?
Well, I think everybody that's experienced chronic pain in some way has gone through some internal journey of dealing with who they are and what is the meaning of the pain for them. And so there is I certainly think there has to be some part of self-realization and self-exploring about what's going on inside of them. And they need the time and the availability to do that. if they focus constantly externally on family and things they have to do, I don't think they really can get to a healthier look at what their pain is all about.
An excellent way to go inward is to journal.
Okay.
When you need to be by yourself, just simply pick up a spiral notebook, keep a consistent book, but write how you're feeling today and what's going on. You can vent so many emotions that you couldn't say to another individual, wouldn't want to. And you can get to that depth of feeling that's there through writing consistently.
That seems to be the key.
Yes.
That seems to be the key, and before we close, I wanted to comment on that. The key to most of what we said today is that sort of slow and steady, taking care of myself on a daily commitment. And then, in fact, it's not something that I can just take care of myself today and then tomorrow and the next day ignore myself, because I know that tends to be a lot of our pattern. We only do for ourselves when we have to.
That's right.
And so it sounds like a whole reality shift that we're talking about here.
I also would suggest that if somebody work with somebody else, whether that's a formal professional, medical professional, or a therapist, but they work with some other person that can be the mirror and can help flash back. It doesn't have to be somebody that's MD, but some other person that
Someone
helps
who can validate it.
Yes.
I want to thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week as we learn more about psychiatric medication. Are they overused? I'm Mary Crocker Cook. Good night.